What's up, Buttercups? It's me, Amy Young, and I'm coming at you with a Friday freestyle. Sound like an infomercial. How are you guys doing today? I hope it's been a good one for you so far. I'm excited to answer a viewer-related query today. I got an email from Debbie, who was in a tough spot, and we're gonna clear things up for Debbie and so many other Debbie-like people out there. I myself have been and will probably again be a Debbie-like person. Let's get into it. This is from Debbie. So I fucked up. I think I have to postpone my thesis defense till next semester. Amy, what is your best advice on how to overcome failure and not to start thinking that you're the worst person on the planet and a complete loser? Best wishes, Debbie. Debbie, I have so much to say I don't even know where to begin. First of all, how do you stop yourself from thinking that you're a complete loser and the worst person on the planet? Well, my immediate response to that is like, let's think really clearly about this and recognize that, Charles Manson is on the planet, ISIS is on the planet, Justin Bieber remains to be on the planet. Sorry if you're a believer, but as long as there are those people around, you will never be the worst person on the planet because you think that you have to postpone your thesis defense. Girl, you're fucking killing it in comparison to so many people. So, that's hopefully maybe a little bit helpful. Sometimes I think it can be like when we do get into this dark spiraling place, it can be really helpful to like check ourselves and be like, wait a second, am I actually the worst? Like, am I actually a useless piece of shit? Am I actually like a garbage person? Or am I looking at this completely out of proportion? Like, bring yourself back to reality. The bigger question I think that you're posing here is like, what do I do when things are not going according to my plan? Like, this is not how this was supposed to go. I was on this timeline, I was on this deadline, and now I'm gonna have to postpone it, and that feels not okay. That feels like a failure. That feels like I fucked up. And this is giving me such a great opportunity to talk about that exact topic, which I think is so important and so not looked at enough. You know, our whole friggin' lives we're given these really, really specific timelines for things, how things are supposed to go. I mean, even from the age of being like, before we can even talk or we have any clue what's going on, our parents are very aware of like, you're supposed to be walking by this age, you're supposed to be potty trained by this age, they should be stringing sentences together by this age. It's like there's a certain way that things are supposed to go. And it gives us a sense of certainty in the world. It helps us feel like there are benchmarks and sort of like finish lines that we can cross before we can move on to another thing. And in a crazy world that is completely uncertain, where there is so little that we actually can control, having things like deadlines and timelines, it helps us feel calmer. It helps us feel like, okay, I know how this is gonna go. So when a wrench gets thrown in the mix and suddenly you have to postpone your thesis, or your engagement gets broken off, or you find out you're not going to graduate on time, or you're not going to get your license, or nope, you're going to have to take a year off before you can go to college, it can throw our world for a fucking loop. Because we love the idea of, I can expect that this will happen when. We love it. It makes us feel warm and gooey and good inside because it makes us feel like we're in control. That's a huge layer of what's happening here, is that something has happened that's making you feel out of control, even if it was, I don't know all the details, maybe it was in Debbie's control, but haven't we all been in a position before where we thought something was gonna happen, we were sure that this was the direction things that were going in, and then the rug got pulled out from under us. And in that moment, it is like a spiral down, terrible, horrific, emotional place to be in, because it feels like our world is getting rocked. And there's a few things that happen that I want to address specifically. One, we start wondering and worrying about what everybody else is going to think. Because again, these timelines, these deadlines, they're very important to us human folk. Have you noticed that it's like, if you're not graduated by this time, if you haven't completed said, education by this age, if you don't have this kind of job, if you're not married by this time, it's like something's wrong with you, supposedly, because you're not living up to everybody else's timelines and expectations. Boring way to live. I don't believe in that shit, and I would encourage anyone out there to really challenge your concepts of what a specific timeline or deadline is going to be. But that's one big thing that happens is like, oh my God, I start seeing myself from the outside in and imagining what all of these people are thinking about me, like my professors and my parents and my friends and all of these people that I work with. Like, what are they gonna think? What are they gonna think? And when we do that, oh my God, it's exhausting and it's horrible and it doesn't serve anybody. And it makes me really confused because I don't even know how I really feel, which brings me to my second point here, which is that, and I'm gonna pose this question. I don't know if it's the right question, but it's the one that's really coming to me that I think could shift things for you or for anyone else out there who's in the midst of what they would label a failure. I'm gonna pose two questions. One being, if you really had to be positive about this, like if you actually were forced to look at this from the perspective of this is a really good thing that this is happening, what evidence could you provide that would support that perspective? Your first reaction to that might be, Amy, fuck you. You think I can be positive about this? I don't think so right now. I'm in the depths of hell and you're telling me to put a happy face sticker on. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's always silver friggin' linings, and there's always things that we might not even really want to acknowledge that on some level do feel positive, life-giving, supportive, or provide a sense of relief, even when we are in the midst of the most terrible, treacherous situation. So while some part of you, the very large part of you might feel like this is a failure, I screwed up, I can't complete this on time, I'm gonna have to postpone it, what's everybody gonna think, I feel like a loser, I'm willing to bet, I would place good money if you and I got on the phone together, that there's a part of you that thinks to yourself, you know what though? Now I have so much more time to get this done. I have so much more time and I've been so under the gun and stressed out. And if I'm really honest with myself, in the darkness, in the quiet of my soul, when no one else is listening, if I really checked in with myself, there is this part of me that's relieved that this is happening because now I have more time. In the same way that if your fiance breaks off the engagement, you might immediately be like, my world is crumbling apart. And then you might realize, you know what? I had an inkling maybe that something was off. Maybe this isn't such a bad thing. Maybe this is happening for a reason. Maybe this is going to give me an opportunity of a different kind, which brings me to my second question. What is the opportunity that is present here? When we're sitting in a puddle of what we would label failure because things aren't happening on our timeline or the way that we want them to, there is an opportunity that's always present. I say this to my clients a lot. We are being called. We are being asked to grow. We are being asked to lose our small-minded perspective of how things are supposed to go and the way that things should roll out. And we are being begged to consider a different approach, a different perspective, a different point of focus, a different pursuit. We are being asked to change. We are being called. What's the opportunity that is present here? Whether it's now I can prepare really adequately, so I'm going to completely kick ass on this project that I'm having to postpone, or it's, I'm gonna have to take a year off before I go away to college, and you know what? I'm gonna be able to save so much money, and I'm gonna work my ass off this summer, and I'm gonna get into a good internship in the fall, and I'm gonna learn, and I'm gonna show up better as a freshman as a result. My fiance broke off the engagement, and you know what? The opportunity that's present, I'm finally gonna get to pay more attention to myself and figure out what wasn't working in that relationship, and I don't know what's gonna happen in the future, but there is something bigger here that I am meant to know, do, understand, have, be. This is not the out and out truth, right? We all get that this point of view that I'm bringing to the table, that there's an opportunity present, that isn't what I would call the capital T truth, because there are no capital T truths, but that is a generous, empowering perspective that we can give to ourselves to get ourselves off of the floor when we are sitting in a puddle of failure, to consider, what are the positives here? How can I look at this and provide myself with some sense of relief? There's always, always, always something. And what am I being called to do? How am I being challenged in a way that I've never been challenged before? What am I going to have to let go of in order to learn what I'm supposed to learn, in order to move through this experience with grace and maturity, and in order to become the person that I'm supposed to become? Because clearly I'm not in charge here. Clearly, my cute timeline ideas for things are not cutting it. Clearly, there's some larger plan. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a back seat and admit this is not my job to know exactly how this is all supposed to go, but I'm gonna play my part. And I'm gonna move ahead, and I'm gonna make choices, and I'm gonna empower myself, and I'm not gonna compare myself to where anybody else is or where I think I should be. I'm gonna sit right where I am. I'm gonna accept this reality, and I'm gonna move from that place. Whew. Excuse me. That ended up being a little bit like more like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, than I thought. Long and short of it, Debbie, you're gonna be fine. You are gonna be more than fine. You're gonna be fucking stellar. Anyone else who's in a situation like Debbie, I don't know, anyone who can't relate to something like this, oh my God, breathe a sigh of relief. Watch this video again. Let it move through you. Sounds like a laxative commercial. And yes, thank you. Thank you so much for writing in with your question. And I hope that this was helpful and provided something different for you. If you like me, you can always subscribe to my channel. I would absolutely love to see you on a regular basis. If you really, really, really like me, you can head to amyyoungcoaching.com. The link is in the description box, and you can sign up to receive an email from me every week. I love reaching out and connecting with my community in that way. Super cool crew over there. And I think that's everything. Oh, I'm going to be speaking at the Masters of the Universe Summit. Masters of the Universe Summit in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, January, oh my God, July 9th and 10th, wow. If you want to get in on the early bird pricing special, use discount code Amy. I'll put the link down below. I would love to see you there, meet and greet and hug and hold you. And yeah, have a great day, night, weekend, wherever you are. I love you. We in this together. I'll see you next time. See ya. Don't just have ammo to just throw at your partner whenever they bring something up that upsets them. That's immature and bullshitty. Don't do that.